If Liverpool can get a win today, then Chelsea are completely out of it. How interesting.
For me, Manchester City, it's well analyzed by Tunde here. But I think out of the 3 games that Manchester City had to left to play, was the toughest one was against Everton, and they went there, and despite the fact that
there are no minnows anymore among those teams. The last team that Chelsea would think will come to the bridge to get the result was Sunderland.
Absolutely.
Was Norwich too.
Yeah, Norwich too. Even Norwich and City was a draw when they played. When Norwich played City at home, it was a draw. So anything can still happen this season. Let's just sit down and enjoy the football. Okay. I mean, for those of us who are not attached to any of the clubs involved, we just sit back and enjoy the football. Any of those 3 teams can still be champions. But if Liverpool get a win today, that knocks Chelsea out of it, and it's going to be down to Chelsea. I beg your pardon. It's going to be down to Liverpool and Man City. That is, if Liverpool can get a win today, as they are currently leading by a goal at Crystal Palace, they will have knocked Chelsea out, and it will be down to Liverpool or City for the title. All right, interesting season. Tell us about it. What do you think about it? We'll talk about that later on as we go on. But gentlemen, let's move very quickly. Apart from the English Premier League game currently going on, we also need to update you with the big one coming up in a couple of days, a month and a few days from now, a month and a week plus 1 day from now. The big one will be going underway. That's talking about the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. Believe it or not, count down with us as we go on. 38 days to go. Gentlemen, really closing in on us. 38 days, and then the biggest football fiesta in the world begins in the country of football, Brazil.
Well, all I can say is that we're all waiting excitedly, and I still fail to see how 4 years passed so quickly after the final whistle was blown in South Africa. And a lot of us can't wait for it to start. Already there's so much going on around the world. Preparations are plenty, both in Brazil and in the remaining 31 other participating countries as well. So, in my opinion, I still believe that the FIFA World Cup is the biggest sporting event on the planet. Say what you like about the Olympics, but I still think nothing comes close to the amount of passion and excitement that the FIFA World Cup manages to throw up in the world.
All right, let's go on about the countdown. As we continue our countdown to the World Cup, let's talk about the first country that has named the squad for the FIFA World Cup. Remember, last week we had a discussion around the naming of squads, and we said the deadline set by FIFA is the 13th of May. And exactly, we're closing in on the 13th of May, but already some countries have an idea of those that will be representing them at the World Cup, while others are still trying to put their squad list together. We'll talk about Nigeria later on, but let's talk about the country that will be playing in Nigeria's group at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. We're talking about Bosnia and Herzegovina. What's the story? Kunle, they have named their professional squad of 24. For me, it's like they've named their squad for the World Cup because only one player from that list will be dropped, and then they're ready for the World Cup. I think
when you're talking about teams who are actually ready for this tournament, Bosnia and Herzegovina, one of the teams that are actually ready. And you remember the way they actually qualified in this, we actually qualified in grand style, and they did very well in their group. And also taking into cognizance the fact that they also have so many classical players in their fold. Remember that even one of their players who plays straight with Manchester City
over
the weekend against Everton.
There's Merlin from Roma, there's Ashraf Begovic of Stoke City as well.
Fantastic players.
Sead Kolasinac. There's so many. And while a lot of people keep forgetting that this is actually Bosnia's first ever appearance at any level in a FIFA organized competition. So they're taking it particularly seriously. And I think anyone who overlooks them does so at their peril.
Underrates them.
Overlooks or underrates them does so at their peril. Because if you remember, Croatia too are also appearing at their first ever FIFA World Cup in 1998. After appearing first at the
Yugoslavia, after the breakout country,
exactly,
as an independent nation,
and they came third at the World Cup. So anyone who underrates or overlooks or belittles Bosnia and Herzegovina does so at their own peril. But while they are naming a 24-man squad, Brazil plans to beat them to it on Wednesday. Luis Felipe Scolari is naming a squad of 23
for the World Cup.
No preliminary squad. No. He's naming 23.
The final squad. I mean, that now tells us that we are in the season for squads to be named. We are now in the season. You remember when the NFF and Stephen Keshi were going into a meeting a couple of weeks ago, we said that there was still enough time given by FIFA for squads to be named. Now, countries are naming their squad, teams are getting ready. We are getting provisional squad of 28, 29, 24. Tunde has just told us that Brazil will be coming out with a squad of 23 before the end of this week.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday. That's 2 days from now. That takes us to Nigeria. Before we talk about Nigeria, let's update you with what you have on the screen, and the goals have come in so fast and furious. It looks like Liverpool really want to nick this, even if it's going to end on goal difference. There are 3 goals up already, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Daniel Sturridge, Luis Suarez, of course, adding to the goal scored by Joe Allen, and it looks like Liverpool are cruising. They shouldn't put up their foot off the pedal.
31 goals for Suarez in the league this season, and 21 for Daniel Sturridge as well. And also, Luis Suarez has also been named as the Footballer Association
Player of the Year. Somebody who missed the first 8 games of the season and is scoring 31 goals.
A major departure from this same time last year, where he was being vilified as a cannibal and so many things. So it just shows how quickly things can change in football, and it just goes to show just how desperately Liverpool want this. I think, in my opinion, if there's any team in this Premier League who can overcome a 9 goals deficit, I think it's Liverpool. I think they've shown beyond reasonable doubt that they can do it. They have scored exactly 99 goals in the league this season. And they just, it will take a brave man to bet against them from even exceeding that record. That probably surpassed the 100 mark. So if any team in the league can overcome a 9 goal deficit, I think it's Liverpool.
Anyway, for us, if they want to end this season as champions, they have to keep scoring. 3 so far. Joe Allen as early as the 18th minute, Daniel Sturridge in the 53rd minute, and then Luis Suarez in the 55th minute. They have to keep scoring. Maybe score like 6, 7 today.
They actually
cancel out the advantage that City have over you, and that makes the season even more interesting. Let's go on. And talk very quickly about the squad. We were talking about naming of squad for the World Cup. Let's come home and talk about Nigeria. The Nigerian Football Federation, Coach Stephen Keshi, may tomorrow also unveil Nigeria's provisional squad of players for the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Because there's a crucial meeting tomorrow. It was a carryover from the meeting they had a couple of days back, and this time we expect at the end of the meeting we will have an idea of those that will be flying our flag representing us at the Mundial. How expectant are you, Kunle?
I'm actually expectant because I felt that, some couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago, we heard that the list was going to be released, and at the end of
different lists are going around.
Different lists making rounds.
Keshi has disowned it, the NFL have disowned it.
Of course, and looking at the fact that so many of the countries are beginning to bring out their list is also very important, imperative for us to actually get to release our list so that we can know the core of players that will be done in the green, white, green jersey of Nigeria. And as we are expectant of this list, I would also want us to probably not name the 30-man provisional list we're talking about. Let's just name about 24 players, just like
we are naming 30. We are not Brazil.
That shows you the difference. Brazil want to win the World Cup. They're not even thinking of coming second. So they are naming a 23-man squad. But Nigeria, we are not really prepared.
We are not prepared. I don't agree.
I think they have to.
I don't agree. I think it has to do with the psychology and the philosophy of a coach.
Oh, really?
If you are naming your final squad weeks before, I probably have an idea of what you want to do at the World Cup. But some other coaches will still want to check out 1 or 2 things and probably put players on their toes going into those final days of camping and training, because that's what FIFA says. FIFA says name a provisional squad of 30.
Yes.
And then a few days to the World Cup, name your final squad.
This is where a lot of people will disagree with you and Stephen Keshi. Some will argue that, look, this man has been at the helm of Nigerian national team for over 2 years.
Yes.
And if he cannot come out with a squad of at least 20, at least 20 by now, and we're thinking of maybe
if you give him a deadline to submit a squad of 23 today, he will do it.
Are you telling me that we should have more players than the Brazilian national team?
Hold on. It is the deadline that the coach has to work with. If you tell Keshi that name your squad of 23 today, he will do it. But if you give him an extension that, look, name your squad list at in June, first week of June, he takes it. It's not as if he doesn't know who he wants in or out. The allowance is given so that you can plan for minor injuries.
I have to align my thoughts with Kunle. I think